Okay, so welcome to day 7 of the daily vlog for the month of April. Today I actually wanted to talk about something called sugar sensitivity. This is something that I've had ever since I was like a little kid and stuff. Um, it's basically how the body responds to um, like carbs and sugar, and I'm actually kind of dealing with that right now because one of the things that I was doing this month was giving up sugar, and that means like no candy, no ice cream, no cake, no anything like that. Well, yesterday I had some, and so I find today I am now in this flux of befuddlement. The effect is like my brain doesn't seem to work very well, and I feel a little hungover in a way. Like I have this headache, and I feel tired, and just sort of meh. It happened to me like years ago. Like I was so severely depressed, I almost committed suicide. And then I just sort of had this like epiphany where it was like I didn't want to die. I wanted to live. It's just that I was in so much pain. It was like either this like black hole depression, or this horrible apathy, this horrible just not feeling anything, life, and everything's gray. I mean, it affects the way you eat and see and react and stuff. And so I started reading about sugar sensitivity and hypoglycemia and stuff, and they were tying a lot of these symptoms to something like that. And I was like, well, so if I give up sugar, could it be something that easy? Because I was in therapy for a long time. Now that you got to remember too, this was like soul crushing depression. This was, it was hard to get out of bed. I was tired all the time, and yet then I had trouble sleeping. That sort of thing. Or if I did sleep, I would sleep for like 13, 14 hours a day. So I decided, like, after the day where I almost committed suicide, I was thinking, you know what? I don't want to die. I am willing to do whatever it takes to get over this. And if it meant, okay, give up sugar, hike across America, join the, monks up in the Himalayas, it was whatever I needed to do. I needed to be living. I needed to stop wallowing and dying. So I started, like, I cut out all sugar, all processed foods. I think at the time I was even vegetarian. Like, I ate no meat. And so I was eating things in its most raw form. Like, instead of like Jif peanut butter, I would get that natural stuff that you have to stir up. And then instead of like white bread, I would be getting like the 7 grains, with twigs and sticks in them. It was very, rough foods. And, like instead of applesauce, you eat an apple. You want to have things in its most natural form. So 2 weeks later, I caught myself humming to myself. And I remember stopping and thinking, it's gone. I didn't feel depressed. I didn't feel that gaping hole in my soul that I had carried with me for probably years. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I have the rest of my life to plan for. I couldn't believe that was it really all tied to that. I mean, I'm not saying like the depression I deal with now, it's not nearly as bad as that. I mean, I don't have suicidal thoughts anymore. But I found that diet does tie to that. And so, now I'm not as rigid as I was back then, and I do find that when I do start, like I would get very upset over stupid things, then I'm like, wait a minute, this is not a normal reaction, and so then I have to start being very mindful of what I'm eating. So this month I was giving up sugar, and then yesterday I binged, and today I'm feeling the effects. I feel a little things aren't really flowing, in my head. I'm not as, like last week I actually started seeing like I was more creative. Words were flowing a little bit better when I was doing my writing and stuff, and now I'm just sort of back to square one. So I'm back to, okay, just no more sugar. I always have to, I have to kind of remind myself, I go without sugar, and then it reminds me like, oh yeah, this is why I give up sugar. But with sugar addiction, when you see cake and ice cream and stuff, like your body is, yes, I want that. Like I actually respond to just looking at, yummy food. So I have to be kind of mindful and like pull back, or have just very small amounts. Like you don't have a candy bar, you have like those little bite-sized things, and or you try to go sugar-free. Like when I drink sugar-free soda, it's not because of the calories, it's because of the sugar, and yeah. And fortunately, I'm kind of glad that my son naturally has self-control with sugar. Like he won't eat a full candy bar, and he will readily refuse things like we go to birthday parties, he won't have the cake and ice cream. So and I find that the symptoms that I get, aside from things like weight gain and stuff, the sugar sensitivity, a lot of it has to do with mood and coping. You know, like if I eat too much sugar on a long period of time, it's really difficult to cope with things, cope with stress, cope with depression, cope with my temper. So then I go back to cutting back, which I usually do on a regular basis, but then it's a slippery slope, especially around the holidays. You know, you try to give up, especially on Christmas. Oh my God. You know, like one of the great things about holidays is the special candy that comes out, you know, and it's really hard to kind of, you know, hold back and not, you know, eat myself under the table sort of thing. I do have to kind of recognize it as like it's an addiction, and that, you know, it's probably, you know, like I don't buy the stuff, I don't bring it into my house. And when I do have like guests over, I try to be like I found some Easter candy that was left over. I didn't open the bag and I served it at the meetup group, and then that's why I started eating it. It was sitting to. If I had set it on the other side of the table, I would not have. I've touched it. Probably, I probably would have just eaten the popcorn that was in front of me. So I do find, I would probably say that if anybody's interested more in sugar sensitivity, I will add links below. Um, but if you're dealing with things like depression and even some other things, sometimes they even find that the condition where you feel pain and there doesn't seem to be any cause of it. Look to your diet. You know, just switch your diet. It doesn't cost anything to do that, and I saw results. Like I literally felt my depression gone in like within 2 weeks, which is faster than Prozac. So I'll go ahead and check the links that I'm adding. Leave comments and questions. I can even go into further detail if anyone's curious. And as always, thanks for watching.